Greetings and salutations. I'm Gil.
And I'm Gil, and this is Strategic Prepper. Alright guys, we're doing something a little different. Gil Sr., my dad and I are both in the middle of our moves. He's a little further along than I am at the time of this filming. But it's created some difficulties with internet and just a lot going on. So I'll be heading up a new series. I don't know how many videos it's going to be. I know it's going to be at least 2 videos, but I don't know how many. It'll be basically a vehicle series. So before we get started, a couple things I want to talk about. Check out our channel, our website. I mean, obviously you know our channel because you're on this video. Go ahead, like and subscribe. Leave a comment about what I'm going to talk about. If you've got questions, concerns, anything like that. So check out our website, strategic-prepper.com. So with there, if you go there, you can get our assessment PDF. So if you've seen one of our early videos on how to really, your first few steps and how to do this properly. And then also our hurricane preparedness checklist. You go on the website, they're free PDFs. You just basically go to the store, and boom, they're free. We'll be adding stuff, products, and services, and we'll be growing that as time goes on. And then also check out our Patreon. Again, we're still in the early stages of that, but we'll be adding more Patreon exclusive content and events and things like that. So, one more thing before I get into the actual video. You'll notice I'm wearing a hat, which any of you guys that have been following the channel know that I do not typically wear a hat. So a quick little story about the hat. I'm on my way right now to an off-road park to go off-roading with a local off-road group. Last time I went, we were at a different location, but they did some drawings at the end of the day. So I won a hat, and it said the Jeep Life. It's a Jeep Life hat, right? So no surprise, most of the people in this group drive Jeeps. I drive a Toyota. I like Toyotas. I'm a Toyota person, I guess you could call it. So I bought a little Toyota patch and stapled it over the Jeep Life. So now whenever I go out with these people, this group, these guys here, I'll wear the hat. So we're talking about in this video, this will be the first video of the series, is how to choose a bug out vehicle. A lot of people automatically assume you need to get a 4-wheel drive, lift it, winch, all-terrain tires, or maybe mud terrains. And that's probably the right choice. That's definitely the right choice for some people. I don't think it's always the right choice though, right? So I don't think it's something you can just assume. Just like everything we do here, you've got to sit down and really think about it. So right, we talk about doing the assessments. So and that's really where you have to start. We talked about in our earlier videos about doing assessments, right? And that's how you have to sit down before you start going down this preparedness journey. Sit down, do basically a hazard assessment, right? What do you think? So you got to figure out what you're preparing for. What do you think is going to happen or could happen, right? So what are these threats that you think you need to be ready for? And then there's 2 factors that you're looking at. What's the likelihood, and then what's the severity if it does happen? Okay, and if you go to the video, we show you there's charts you can use. It's a formula. It really is a formula. Plug in some numbers, boom, it spits out these rankings, and you go by the rankings. You don't go by what your gut feeling is. You go by the numbers. Usually, sometimes the situations change, and then you have to reevaluate, right? And we continuously have to do that. So you got to start with that. And if you guys notice, I got notes and whatnot, make sure I don't forget. So, you got to start with that. What are you preparing for, right? Is your main threat an EMP? Is your main threat total economic collapse? Or are you looking at, hey, I'm more prepared for natural disasters and hurricanes, or I don't think it'll be a big event. I just think things will slowly degrade, and the government will just kind of lose control over law enforcement and infrastructure, right? Okay, so you got to really start with that. Okay, so like I said before, it doesn't always need to be a 4x4. So what's your plan? Right, where are you now? Where are you living? And where are you trying to go? So For example, if you're in the city and you say, well, I got people I'm going to meet up with that are 300 miles away, which, if you're in the city, I think it's a different discussion, right? So maybe you say, hey, listen, I can't move right now, but I've got a 3-year plan. I got a 2-year plan. Maybe you're at the point, I just told I don't know, my vehicle's breaking down. I need to get a vehicle. I know I got to leave the city, and I got a 2-year plan. I can't do it now. All right, what vehicle do I buy? Maybe, right? Maybe. So if you're in that situation, maybe fuel economy is more important. Maybe you look at your risk assessment, right? What you're preparing for and where you're at. Maybe you say, I need to be able to get a long distance without having to refuel that much. So maybe fuel economy moves pretty high up on the list. So I've got a 2019 4-wheel drive 4Runner, right? As some of you guys know. My wife has the current generation, well, not current, Ford stopped making it, but current generation Ford Taurus. And so one of the people she had worked with had mentioned her, man, you need to get a 4-wheel drive, like a truck, because that thing's not going to be any use in a preparedness aspect. And she shared that with me, and I told her that's not necessarily true, right? So there's value in her vehicle. So the Taurus is a huge trunk for one, lots of cargo space. It's probably got as much cargo space as a lot of your compact SUVs. But the other thing too is it's got decent fuel economy, at least compared to the 4Runner. So with this 4Runner, 18 to 20 is what I get on the highway. If I'm lucky, I'll get 20. 18 or 19 is probably more realistic. Well, hers is rated at 30, right? And as far as sedans go, that's okay, but you guys know nowadays 35 to 40 is not unusual. And so back then, when my parents lived much further away, now we live closer as part of the prepping plan. But before they lived further away, and I said, hey, listen, there are scenarios where your vehicle will be more valuable than mine. For example, the economy starts going downhill, inflation starts hitting, there's gasoline shortages, or it's just extremely expensive. And so society still hasn't collapsed, for example, right, with the Great Depression or even leading into it. It's not like everything completely collapsed. A lot of people still had jobs and still had to go to work, but things were expensive. Things might be hard to get. And I said, hey, if we're in that situation, and which I think is a realistic possibility at some point, and we have to drive 500 miles, 400 miles because we decide it's better to get together, then yeah, your vehicle with 30 miles a gallon on the highway is probably going to be more valuable than my 4Runner. My 4Runner is going to eat gas, okay? So, it's not automatically 4-wheel drive, truck, all-terrain tires and lift, okay? I got a friend that has a Honda Element. Honda Element probably gets better fuel economy than a 4Runner. I actually don't know off the top of my head. But it's a boxy vehicle, it's a carb-based platform, and it's all-wheel drive. So, yeah, you're not doing any heavy off-roading, but you got good traction. Like I said, decent fuel economy, and then good cargo space. So, maybe you look at that. Maybe you say, hey, I'm going to get a hybrid minivan, right? So maybe you say, hey, I got a couple kids. I need to carry a lot of stuff. So that's another thing, too, is how much stuff do you need to carry? So, so how much stuff do you need to carry? What's your plan? Are you meeting with the people? Do you have a cache somewhere? Are you going to a location? You might say, hey, I got 3 kids, I got 2 dogs, we need to carry a lot of stuff. And then you do your assessment. You don't envision yourself having to go off-road that much or at all. Right? So you say, hey, I'm going to get a minivan, get a hybrid minivan, maybe, right? And you say, I need to maximize cargo space and fuel economy. That's what I believe based off of my assessment. Okay, that's worth knowing, right? Versus you get for example, you get a Toyota Sienna, which I believe is their minivan, versus a Toyota Sequoia. Well, they're both large vehicles with lots of cargo space, but the Sequoia has really crappy gas mileage. So I had considered getting one instead of a 4Runner, because my wife and I are looking at having kids, and so I'm thinking, well, more cargo space is better. But if I thought 18 to 20 was bad on the highway, the Sequoia gets even worse. I think it's like 14 or 15. Versus the Sienna, and I don't know what the fuel economy is on that. I believe it's a lot better. So these are all things that you have to consider. Like we mentioned, your on-road versus off-road. So for me, why did I decide I need a 4-wheel drive 4Runner? A few things. Long-term reliability. The current generation 4Runner is ancient. Most of the mechanical and electrical components have been used since 2003. The 4-liter V6, and it still uses it in 2022 or 2021, but the 2020 model year still uses the same 5-speed, where a lot of vehicles are using 8, 9, 10 speeds. 5-speed transmission from 2003. Okay, so my 2019, the 4-liter V6 has been used basically since 2013. They did an adjustment, not an adjustment, an upgrade. They made some tweaks halfway through, and the 5-speed transmission and the transfer case and the 4-wheel drive system and most electronics haven't changed since 2003. Legendary reliability, and I'm big on maintenance, so I maintain my vehicles really well. Let me pass this 18 wheeler trying to merge. So, that was important to me. The way I see things going in the near future, I do see supply shortages maintaining at a minimum. Inflation, I think. So one of the things that prompted me to buy this last year, before I paid off my other vehicle and before I paid some other stuff off, I'm looking at the landscape, and I'm thinking, hey, you know what? If I wait till everything is paid off and the way things are going, I may not be able to afford one. And I was in the spot where I could afford one then. So anyway, but yeah, I think there may come a point where the economy is in such a place and the government regulations are in such a place that if you already have a vehicle, you can afford to maintain it, but you may not be able to afford to buy one that I want. And then the off-road capability, right? When would I need to go off-road? Well, there's a couple things, right? So storms, hurricanes, tornadoes, in the aftermath, roads might be blocked, trees. The ability to kick in 4-wheel drive and just go around without getting stuck can be pretty valuable. Maybe you are on the highway and there's an accident or traffic's backed up. Being able to drive through the grass median to the other side, and man, that could be life-saving, right? So being able to jump a curb, drive over a curb, through a field, out of some traffic or out of a situation, whatever. Those are the kind of situations that I think realistically I might have to use it for. Nothing really more serious than that. And you'll see in my other video I'm going to do on how to choose the modifications you do. You'll see that my modifications reflect what I think I have to use it for. So that's something to consider. A lot of vehicles will come in 2 or 4-wheel drive. So maybe you do get a big truck, but you say, you know what? I want for example, I'm going to get an F-150 or a Tundra. Part of my plan is I'm going to have a pull behind, 18-foot, 17-foot camper. So I need the towing capacity and cargo and all that. But you might say, I really don't plan on going off-road. My plan, I don't think I'm going to need it. I do my hazard assessment. I think it's extremely low. Then, hey, you might decide to go 2-wheel drive, right? Because that is, 4-wheel drive systems are more expensive. They're heavier. They hurt your fuel economy a little bit. And they cost money to maintain. And then when they break, if they break, they cost money. So these are all factors you have to consider. Okay? Again, being that I like to be prepared for things, it's another reason 4-wheel drive. Hey, I just like to have it for some kind of unforeseen scenario. Alright, so I talk about on-road versus off-road. I talk about vehicle longevity. To me, that's important. Some vehicles are, like the 4Runner, the Tacomas, the Tundras, the Sequoias, they're all known to be reliable. Other vehicles are less reliable. Some of them are average reliability. Some of them are known to be unreliable. I know a lot of you guys love the Jeeps. It's a Chrysler product. I'd never buy one. That's just me. a lot of people love them. I've had too many bad experiences with Chrysler products, and I just know too many people with bad experiences. So that's one thing too. Do your research on the vehicle. You can go on forums and YouTube, and you'll be able to easily find if a vehicle has a known issue. Right? Is this vehicle known for eating through transmissions? Is it known for this? Is it known for that? I had a Ford Edge before this vehicle. It had a 3.5 liter V6. It's overall good engine. The vehicle's reliable. It's a great vehicle. But the 3.5s are known to have water pump issues eventually. If you have it long enough, you're going to have to replace the water pump. It's an internal water pump, so it costs a couple grand to get to it. You got to remove the timing chain and all that. And the way it's designed, it's supposed to, if it starts failing, you're supposed to be able to notice it through the weep hole. The way it's just a faulty design, and sometimes what it will do when it fails is it will, because of the way the gaskets are and all that, it will just dump coolant into your engine oil. No warning sign, it just starts dumping coolant. Of course, that destroys your engine, right? Totals out your engine, you need a new engine. That's one of those Achilles heels. Now, preventative maintenance can mitigate that, but at some point you have to be proactive. And so my wife's Taurus has the same engine. I got 105,000 miles. Probably at 150, we'll either get rid of it or replace the water pump. So those are all things to look at. Look at your vehicle. What known issues does it have, and are you willing to deal with those issues? Your finances. Okay, so again, that's important. So, one of our videos we had looked at what we think the next upcoming threats are going to be in the near future. And so I think financial instability is going to be a big thing. And so, getting out of debt's important. Right? So, Gil Sr. is completely out of debt. No mortgage on, no debt, nothing. Right? When I sold my house in the suburbs, I paid off all my debt except the 4Runner. I put a chunk down on the 4Runner, and we decided instead of paying it all off, to put some money aside to allow us to buy a house, which right now we're in the process of getting some acres. So this will be paid off probably early next year. That's what we're looking at. So that's another thing too, is the 4Runners tend to be expensive. And so that's something you gotta think about, right? Don't sink your finances just to get the latest model year of the particular vehicle, right? So, for example, you say, hey, I want a Tacoma, but you look at the prices of a decent Tacoma and you say, holy crap, that's a lot of money. You might look at the Frontier. So the Frontier, Nissan just released the new Frontier, but if you look at any previous model year, the Frontier, just like the 4Runner, hasn't really changed in almost 20 years. They're very reliable, very good vehicles. You get very good prices on them. And you can get the Pro 4X model if you want to do the four-wheel drive thing. Four-wheel drive, all-terrain tires, locking rear diff. Right, so that's something to think about. And then also, how does it fit into your everyday life? Because for most people, and I probably should have led with this, for most people, your bug-out vehicle is your everyday driver. You are probably not buying a separate vehicle. And if you do have a separate vehicle, that might change things, right? So maybe your everyday driver is that vehicle with great fuel economy. And then you have a separate bug-out vehicle that's kind of your toy, or it's a separate, it sits there most of the time. You drive it every once in a while. It's only really for bugging out or whatever. Maybe you get a vehicle and you put aggressive all-terrains and you lift it, you put all this stuff on it. Because it's kind of like a specialized vehicle. Okay, you might do that, but I think for most people it'll be your daily driver. And so how does it fit into your everyday life? So if you've got 4 kids, a pickup truck may not work, right? Even with the super cab, even with the crew cab. You got 4 kids and they all have sports and activities, and, right? You got 2 dogs. Okay, hey, maybe that pickup may not work. Maybe you do need to get a Sequoia or a minivan, right? So think about that. Think about where you're at now in life. Think about where you're going to be 5, 10, 15, 20 years, and make sure that vehicle fits where you think you're going to be. I think the sun is shining in your face. Let me try to cover it up. think that's pretty much all I had on the list. And so that I went through that process with the 4Runner. You know, I want the ability, whether it's a storm, whether you know, I've got to drive over a median or something to get around traffic, something like that. Nothing crazy, you know. And there's a different discussion on what your bug out plan should be, right? So the best case scenario is really to live in your bug out property. And yes, I drink Starbucks. I love the pumpkin spice latte. All the pumpkin spice stuff. I love pumpkin spice, so you can make fun of me in the comments. But I forgot what I was saying. But yeah, so I did my assessment. You know, I've been wanting a 4Runner for a long time. I plan on keeping this vehicle for 20 years. You know, and so it fits within my assessment. Heck, you're talking about the kids and the dog thing. Even the dog we have, I had criteria based on our prepping assessment. Now this dog just showed up actually as a stray, and we took him in. But I had a weight range and a size range. I don't want a dog too big, because if I have to bug out in my vehicle, a huge 120-pound dog is just harder to put in your vehicle, and it takes up more food. But yeah, going back to the bug out thing, yeah, you know, ideally you want to live in your bug out location, right? So that's what we're doing. We both moving to properties and with acreage. We're going to develop them into little homesteads. That way we don't have to leave for the most part. You do need to have a plan to leave them. Right, there's different scenarios that could make your home untenable, right? Maybe whether it's a natural disaster, whatever. Chemical plant has a chemical spill or a leak, and you got to evaluate. You got a rail line, and again, chemical stuff there. The train derails. This has happened, right? You live in an area where there's a potential for wildfires. And so, right, these are all things. If you live in that kind of environment, if you live out in the country, or if you live in the city, like I said, maybe you can't move now. Again, these are all things you got to think about. What's your environment? Where are you trying to go? And so you just start thinking through all that. What do you really need? And of course, there's a difference between what you need and what you want. There's nothing wrong with getting what you want, right? But you know, I really wanted to make this video mostly to hone in on the point. You don't automatically need a 4-wheel drive. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But just think about it. Think through the process. Don't just assume you need a 4-wheel drive. I think a lot of people do that. Hey, there's a lot of downsides to having a 4-wheel drive, right? Fuel economy, maintenance, all that stuff. Although maintenance isn't that big to do. So, hey, let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you guys, how you dealt with this, right? So, what do you have as a bug out vehicle? What's your thought on it? For me, I'll put this little nugget at the end. So, SUV versus pickup. Going with my philosophy on the 4-wheel drive capability. You guys kind of know where my direction is. So I thought, hey, do I want a 4-wheel drive or pickup? Or a 4-wheel SUV or pickup? I went the SUV route because I like everything to be enclosed. Obviously, a pickup would give me more towing and more cargo capacity. So what do you guys think? So let me know. That's a big question among the people who want 4-wheel drives or bug out vehicles. So hey, leave a comment. Let me know what you guys think, and you know, hopefully we'll get back to kind of our regular scheduled programming pretty soon. But hey, I'll see you guys next time. Stay safe and stay prepared.